Thank you for tuning in to podcast number 42 of Sports Talk with JWock. I am your host, JWock, and today I will be giving my predictions on who I think will win Super Bowl 59, and then shortly afterwards, I will be talking about how the rookie quarterbacks ranked based off of their regular season performances. So if you want to hear more about this, make sure to stay tuned. Once again, thank you for tuning in to podcast number 42 of Sports Talk with JWock. And I just wanted to give like a little announcement. I probably won't be doing any more NFL content, at least until we get closer to the NFL draft, especially after this episode, just because it feels like it's going to be kind of dry. There's not going to be a lot to talk about. I mean, I could do mock drafts, but that changes all the time. I'll probably start doing that the month of the NFL draft. But if you guys have any like recommendations or suggestions for me to talk about in the meantime for the NFL, feel free to give me those ideas and then I can talk about them. Like if you want me to give like an off-season plan for a certain team and what I think they should do to potentially get better overall going into next season, let me know. Like I would really appreciate getting that input because I really like getting your guys' input and being able to apply that and make an episode out of it because it's fun to me. But anyways, let's get into the Super Bowl 59 picks and predictions, where it is another year of the Kansas City Chiefs making the Super Bowl and the Bills choking once again at the end of the game to be able to make the Super Bowl. So obviously the Chiefs come out on top, unfortunately, and they will be going against the Philadelphia Eagles. I guess if we're talking like some keys for victory, the Chiefs just got to be what they normally do in the Super Bowl, and that is just performing well and forcing the other team to make mistakes. And the refs, obviously. We're going to be seeing about 400 times of Taylor Swift being shown onto the screen where we want to be watching football and not a singer. And we're going to be seeing a lot of Mahomes crying to referees and then referees therefore throwing the flag because of Mahomes crying. Anyways, we are going to be seeing the Chiefs versus Eagles. I think for the Eagles, the key for the Eagles is by far like Saquon Barkley has to do Saquon Barkley things. And then I think more importantly, Jalen Hurts has to be able to come out on top and help this offense really click. Because the Chiefs are going to be very focused on Saquon Barkley. It's kind of like when if you guys watch the Boise State versus Penn State game, this is a completely different comparison. I'm not comparing Genty to Saquon, but Penn State really stacked the box and they made Maddox Madsen try to win that game, and he couldn't. He actually choked pretty bad, in my opinion. But with all due respect, Maddox Madsen had a great year. But anyways, Jalen Hurts has to be able to win this game for the Chiefs, in my opinion. Obviously, their defense also has to play well and contain Patrick Mahomes' offense, especially him and Travis Kelce, but also a sneaky player in Worthy, their quick wide receiver for the Chiefs. So this is going to be a tough matchup for the Eagles. If I were to give a prediction, I think the Chiefs are going to win, unfortunately, 28-14. I just don't think the Eagles have enough firepower to win this game. I think even with Saquon playing insane, I just don't know how that defense can hold up against the Chiefs' offense. And that's the unfortunate part. I never would love to say that the Chiefs are going to three-peat, but unfortunately, I'm going to say I think the Chiefs are going to three-peat. Like I said, it pains me as a Broncos fan to say this, but I really do think that's what's going to happen. But I want to know what your guys' picks and predictions are. Let me know who you think is going to win the Super Bowl down below and the score prediction of that game. Once again, this is like a really short topic. I wanted to potentially like make this a YouTube short instead, but I decided to just add on to the podcast and just go on to another topic after this, which we are going to be talking about the rookie quarterback rankings based off of their regular season performances from this season. So if you want to hear more about that, make sure to stay tuned. Okay, so now that the regular season and basically almost the NFL season in total is over, I think it's a proper time to be able to give my final rankings on how I think the rookie quarterbacks did this season in the regular season. Remember, this is the regular season. I'm not counting the postseason and how they performed, because obviously only two of those quarterbacks made the playoffs compared to the other three quarterbacks, which, by the way, I'm also only doing the first round quarterbacks that were drafted. There were 6 of them, but I'm only ranking 5 of them because JJ McCarthy was out all season with a, I believe, knee injury. So we're only going to be talking about Caleb Williams, Jaden Daniels, Drake May, Michael Penix Jr., and Bo Nix. So yeah, it wouldn't be even, there'd be nothing to, rank with JJ McCarthy since he never played. But anyways, let's start from number 5 and let's build our way up to number 1. I'm going to be doing their stats. I'm going to be also saying their record. I am counting their record against them. I do think that is very important to see how they could help lead their team to winning. Now, obviously, some of these quarterbacks had terrible weapons, and that could have also led to their bad record and just maybe a bad defense or a bad O-line. But anyways, it's very important. I think this all comes together to be able to help build a ranking for these players. So at number 5, I'm ranking Michael Penix Jr. from the Atlanta Falcons. Now, I feel like this is kind of an unfair ranking right here for Penix, just because he barely got to play at all this season. He was under Kirk Cousins, which they should have benched Kirk Cousins a lot longer, a lot sooner, I guess. Because Penix, in my opinion, is the future of this team compared to what Kirk Cousins is, especially since Kirk Cousins can barely move. But anyways, Michael Penix Jr., his regular season stats, he had 775 passing yards. He completed 58.1% of his passes. He had 3 passing touchdowns, 3 interceptions. He took 4 sacks, had a 51.1 rating. He had 11 rushing yards and 1 rushing touchdown. And this is all off of 5 games played, and the Falcons' overall record was 8-9. As much as Michael Penix showed some promise, he also showed some troubles. I mean, he had 3 passing touchdowns plus 3 interceptions, so that's not the best looking sign for Penix. Obviously, though, once again, his stats may look really bad or really good just because he played a very limited amount of games, only 5 games played, which also does not mean 5 full games played. That could mean he played the fourth quarter like he did against the Broncos when the Broncos were crushing them. But basically, I think Michael Penix Jr. has a good potential in this league. I think he just needs some work. I mean, you could see even the rookie quarterbacks that I'm going to talk about in a second. All these quarterbacks took a couple of games to be able to figure out their step and be able to really find a groove and be able to find that, what they could do to become successful in the league. And I just don't think Michael Penix Jr. had that time to be able to do that. So I think if he has a full offseason to be able to really work with the ones and then go into the regular season, hopefully there's no injuries or anything. But if Michael Penix Jr. could do that, I think he could be a very solid quarterback, a very accurate quarterback in this NFL. So I'm going to rank Michael Penix Jr. at 5. I don't know why it's so hard to say that. Next up at number 4, this was honestly a debate. I was going to rank the person above him maybe at 4, but I'm going to overall put Drake May at number 4. I put Caleb Williams at 3. I kind of thought they were very close, and I know a lot of people might debate that, but Drake May had 2,276 passing yards off of 66.7% completion. He had 15 passing touchdowns, 10 interceptions. He took 34 sacks. He had an 88.1 QB rating. He rushed for 421 yards and had 2 rushing touchdowns off of 13 games played. And the Patriots overall had a final record of 4-13. Drake May showed a ton of promise. From when I watched the games, which I didn't watch many Patriots games, I will admit, it felt like Drake May tried to be the superhero in a lot of plays where he tried to maybe extend the play too much, and then maybe he tried to, roll out and extend, tried to maybe scramble, and then he took some big hits, which actually led him to, I think, having a concussion one of those weeks. Drake May just needs to be able to settle down and figure out, hey, I got to trust the process. Obviously, Drake May had probably the worst weapons out of all of these rookie quarterbacks drafted in the first round, and maybe even in all the rookie quarterbacks throughout the whole NFL draft. Like, he probably had the worst weapons to work with. So you kind of got a feel for the guy. Like, he did not have anything to work with, but he still made something out of nothing. It felt like Drake May was actually really doing good this season. And I think if the Patriots can really prioritize getting Drake May the pieces he needs, whether that's, and that's both O-line, you're going to have to get a running back, you're going to have to get some receiver help. Like, he's going to have to get a lot of help, but they also just got a new coach, so that could be really exciting and good for Drake May and his future. But yeah, I think Drake May is going to be a star in this league. That could, come back to bite me in the butt, but I think Drake May is a really good quarterback, and that's why I rank him number 4. I know that's not great of a ranking, and I honestly wanted to rank him number 3, but I had to give my respect to number 3 in Caleb Williams. I think Caleb Williams overall in this season had 3,541 passing yards. He completed 62.5% of those passes. He had 20 passing touchdowns, 6 interceptions. He took 68 sacks, which is insane. And he had an 87.9 passer rating with 489 rushing yards, 0 rushing touchdowns, and he played all 17 games of the regular season and finished with a record of 5-12. Caleb Williams was one of the most highly anticipated quarterbacks coming into just being a rookie as a quarterback in a while. It felt like everybody was really hyping Caleb Williams up, and it just felt like Caleb Williams kind of had a disappointing season. In my opinion, obviously he had a really bad O-line, taking 68 sacks. That's not all on the O-line, but, they weren't a great O-line. But in my opinion, Caleb Williams had to have the best weapons, if not close to second. I don't know what I'm saying. He had the second best, if not the best weapons offensively coming into the season with DeAndre Swift at running back. He had Keenan Allen, Rome Odunze, I can't remember the other wide receiver's name, but they had him. I apologize. I'm drawing a blank there. Also, they have Cole Kmet, I believe, at tight end. Just excellent weapons. And it just felt like he could not utilize it. I mean, he started to figure it out towards the end of the year, which I feel like all the rookie quarterbacks started to do that. But it just felt like Caleb Williams kind of had a disappointing season. Maybe I'm the only one that's thinking that. I felt like the Bears' defense isn't horrible. I mean, it just felt like the Bears' offense just really struggled. And that could be because of Matt Eberflus, I believe that's his name. Their old head coach that they ended up firing in the middle of the season. So that could be a big reason why as well. But that's why I'm going to rank Caleb Williams at 3. He only led his team to 5-12. I think with those kind of weapons, I think the other 2 rookie quarterbacks would have been able to do a little bit better than what Caleb Williams did overall. Anyways, at number 2, I have Bo Nix of the Denver Broncos. Some of you may be mad that I'm putting that and may think I'm biased. I think Bo Nix had the second best season as a rookie quarterback. Some may even say Caleb Williams or Drake May should have been there. But in my opinion, everybody's getting mad about why are we talking about how Bo Nix is great compared to Caleb Williams, where we're saying he's kind of disappointing. Well, that's because Bo Nix was the 6th quarterback the 6th quarterback to come out of the draft, or be selected, should I say, compared to Caleb Williams, who was the number 1 pick in the draft. So, I mean, Caleb Williams, if we're talking comparison, he did not play like a number 1 pick. Bo Nix played I thought he, surprised a lot of us. I thought he played better than what we would have thought. And overall in the season, Bo Nix had 3,775 passing yards, which is the most passing yards out of all the rookie quarterbacks this season. He had a 66.3% completion on all those passes. He threw 29 passing touchdowns, which is also number 1 in all the rookie quarterbacks. He had 12 interceptions. He took 24 sacks. He had a 93.3 passer rating with 430 rushing yards, 4 rushing touchdowns. He played all 17 games, and He helped the Broncos make the playoffs for the first time in 9 years with a record of 10-7. Obviously, they got manhandled by the Bills, but they got there. That's all that matters. They got there. Yeah, I thought Bo Nix had a really surprising rookie season. Obviously, he had a great head coach in Sean Payton. I think a lot can debate that Sean Payton had a lot to do with that. But it just felt like Bo Nix kind of, he thrived a little past what we thought he was going to do. I mean, as a Broncos fan, he was scaring me at the beginning of the season when he was playing absolutely horrible. But he really did turn it around. Even with the weapons he had, I know he had Sutton and Mims started to play better at the end of the year, but it just felt like Bo Nix used what he had, even with honestly mediocre weapons, no running back at all, no tight end, and only 2 solid wide receivers out of, it just didn't feel like Bo Nix had very many weapons, but he used it to his advantage. And that is why I rank Bo Nix at number 2. And I apologize to all of you people watching this and thinking I'm being biased. It's because I am. I'm a Broncos fan, and I'm happy that we finally have a quarterback that I can somewhat be excited about going into next season. But finally, if you haven't guessed it already, the number one rookie quarterback this season is Jayden Daniels. And before I go on to Jayden Daniels, I just want to say all these stats that I'm getting are from ESPN player stats. So if they're a little inaccurate, blame ESPN, not me. But anyways, Jayden Daniels, by far best rookie quarterback of this year. I don't even know if there's any explanation. Some people debated Bo Nix for a little bit, but now it's Jayden Daniels ran away with it. Even without the playoffs success that he had this season, Jayden Daniels balled out all year long. And that is why he's the number 1 quarterback. He was the number 1 rookie quarterback this season. Jayden Daniels threw for 3,568 passing yards. He had a 69% completion on those passes. He threw 25 passing touchdowns. He only threw 9 interceptions. He took 47 sacks, which is also a lot, but that is something he's got to work on, and it's also something, they got to build with their O-line. He had a 100.1 passer rating. He ran for 891 rushing yards, and he had 6 rushing touchdowns, and he also played all 17 games and finished and helped, I should say, the Washington Commanders finish with a record of 12-5. So the Commanders, man, they surprised everybody. Nobody was expecting them to be this team, and Jayden Daniels was the reason for it. He had Terry McLaurin, which is an excellent wide receiver to work with. He had Zach Ertz, which honestly is a criminally underrated tight end. I know he's older, but he's still a solid, manageable tight end, someone that could still get the job done. And Austin Eckler at running back, man, he had some good weapons, and he used it to his advantage. He looked really good out there. He is a future elite quarterback. He's honestly currently elite. We'll see how he does next season, obviously, because, there's something called a sophomore slump, which any of these quarterbacks could experience. But I'm curious to see how Jayden Daniels is going to do next year. But I don't really have much to say other than Jayden Daniels was a baller out there, and I have to give my props to him. He made he's a superstar in the future, and I'm excited to see how he's going to be in his future career and how Washington's going to be able to build more pieces around him and be able to continue to work with Jayden Daniels and develop him, and hopefully he could gain a little bit of muscle this offseason. But overall, I thought Jayden Daniels is a good quarterback right there. And Commanders fans, if you're watching this, you should be excited about him. This is a good quarterback, and I think you guys have a elite QB for the future. But anyways, that's going to be the end of my episode 42 of Sports Talk with JWock. Once again, we're getting closer to podcast 50. Every single week we are. So if you want to be able to be featured on this podcast, hit me up, just text me, whatever, and I will be able to potentially work that out. I'm still trying to figure out a topic, but I will be asking you basically questions on what we're going to talk about, and then I'm going to get a whole bunch of different people's opinions. It's going to be cool. It's a mess right now. I'm still trying to figure it out. That's why I'm not very descriptive on what I'm doing yet, just because I don't know either. But I'm working on it. If you have any suggestions on what I should do for podcast 50 and topics that are friendly for a bunch of people that are sports fans, let me know. But yeah, if you haven't already, hit the subscribe button. go down below, like the video, share the video with others. Check me out on my social media accounts on Instagram at sportstalkwith_JWock3. Check me out on Facebook at JWock. I'm back on Spotify. This episode will be streaming on Spotify. You can check me out at Sports Talk with JWock on Spotify as well. And also a quick reminder, I'm no longer uploading on Fridays at the moment at 8 a.m. Now I am going to be uploading on Saturdays now at 8 a.m. So I'm just pushing it back a day because of school purposes and all that, just so I have time to be able to do schoolwork, because I'm really prioritizing that right now and I want to get my degree at some point. So thank you guys for your understanding and patience. And I just want to say thank you for tuning in to another episode of Sports Talk with JWock. I really appreciate all of you guys. And if you guys have any suggestions for the upcoming week's podcast episodes and maybe the topics, let me know. Maybe message me. You could also just comment down below on the video. I would love to read those comments. And I hope you all have an amazing week. God bless.